Oh, we're going to read chapter 9, but in chapter 8, Abbas woke up with nothing to do. He ended up learning how to play backgammon. Now, Murat, the guy that runs the hotel, basically helped teach him. And then they started to gamble, where you say, I will give you $10 if he wins. And so Abbas is really good at backgammon, the board game, this one here. And so Murat decides to invite his friend to battle against Abbas. Now Abbas wins, and so Murat wins a lot of money, and they're both happy. Abbas originally was unhappy because he felt he was taken advantage of and that Murat only wanted him to make money. But then Abbas ends up making a deal with Murat about how Abbas can win money as well. So then Abbas goes to bed happy, but then remembers he misses his family and they didn't even call him. Chapter 9, page 135. The next morning I woke up later than usual. I knew that I had a trip to the shop to look forward to that day. I had a letter to write, and of course I had to eat. For the first time, I could not bank on my father calling me. He's probably not going to call. So I decided to concentrate on the things that were certainties, things that I knew would happen. I strolled downstairs in the same ripped jeans and took the usual route to Murat's chair, to his throne where he's sitting. To my great surprise, in his place sat a much younger man who was thin, skinny, short, and dressed in his best suit, obviously trying to impress anyone who came into the hotel. His hair was wet and brushed back. He had dark Turkish features and an irritating, ever-present, pretentious, annoying smile. He stood up from his chair and offered his hand. You, Abbas, yes? He kept shaking my hand as if he had forgotten that he was holding it. Yes, I'm Abbas. Very nice to meet you. I am Hussein. Page 136. Hello, Hussein, I said, pulling my hand out of his. He was making me a little uncomfortable. Boss said I should give you tea and a backgammon board. Remember, backgammon is this game here. You mean Murat? Yes, he said, his smile stretching even wider. He reached under the reception counter and pulled out the backgammon board. Please take seat, and I bring you tea. He pointed to my sofa. Okay, I said, but I want to write a letter first, to my mother. Idiot Hussein, he said, slapping his head. I forgot. He immediately pulled out a stamped Air Mile envelope and 2 sheets of paper. He handed them to me, still smiling annoyingly. Just put it back here when you're done. Then we can start playing backgammon. I looked at him with a faint smile, and I went back and retreated to my usual sofa next to the phone booths. I couldn't help but stare at the telephones. I could not remember having spent a single day without seeing or talking to at least one of my parents before now. I picked up the pen and began to write. Dear Maman, I hope you and Baba are well. I am really missing you both, especially you, because I have not spoken to you for a long time now. But I am behaving myself. To be honest, I am staying up quite late, but last night it was because I was waiting to see if you or Baba would call. You didn't. I think you must have been busy. I have learned how to play backgammon, and I think I am quite good, too. I don't have a lot to say today, because I stayed in the hotel all day yesterday. Maybe I will have more to tell you tomorrow. Your son, Abbas. As I put the letter on the reception counter, the ever-eager Hussein jumped up with the backgammon board. How about a game now? I was not really in the mood, but I felt I had to do it, so I nodded. Good, he said, sounding too enthusiastic. I'll set it up now. It's okay, I said as I took the board from him. I know how. I did not want to play this guy, but I would. I beat him 3 games to none, even though my mind wasn't on the game. I couldn't help thinking about the next few days. What was I going to do with myself? Little did I know that my daily routine was going to change drastically. After the game, I went back to the lounge, reclined in my back row seat, and watched bad daytime Turkish television. I drifted and fell off to sleep, and in what had become a custom, Murat woke me with a gentle tap on my shoulder. "We have work to do, little man." I snapped out of my snooze. "What?" Page 138. "I have a few friends who wish to challenge you," he whispered with a mysterious smile. "When?" "When better than the present, than now." "Now?" "Aha," he said with a purposeful nod. "Go and wash your face in the kitchen and meet me in the lounge." He turned and walked off with a bit of a swagger. It scared me a little as he seemed very confident. I hoped that he had not bet or put a lot of money heavily on me winning. Even though I didn't plan to lose, I suddenly felt I was carrying a large responsibility, a large burden. What if I did lose? As I approached the kitchen, I could hear a lot of noise in the lobby. It sounded like a crowd at a soccer stadium, everyone shouting. I went in to find Hussein making 12 teas. "Hello, my friend," he said, smiling from ear to ear. "Hi," I said in a daze, tired. "What is going on?" "You have spectators today, people wanting to watch." "What?" "There is a big crowd in reception waiting for the little champion." "Oh no," I said, trembling, shaking. This was not in the deal. "Deal?" "Nothing," I said quickly. I was nervous. Not only would I be playing against a stranger, but in front of a crowd of people. Hussein left the kitchen and I dithered, breathless. There was no way I could back out of this now. I turned the tap on and splashed my face with the ice-cold water. Slowly I made my way toward the loud voices. I peered around the corner to see what was waiting for me. There was a huge man sitting on one side of the board, plus another 10 or 12 people, all waving money in the air like crazy people, like hooligans. In the midst of the crowd was Murat, organizing the event. The man waiting to play must have weighed at least 250 pounds, huge and fat. He had sharp, beady eyes, a receding hairline, so he's losing his hair, a huge shoe brush of a moustache, so a big moustache, and a huge nose that had been broken at least 3 times, this big ugly guy. He did not seem the kind of character someone would like to walk past, encounter in a dark alley late at night, this big scary looking guy. He sat expressionless, not even smiling, as he practiced throwing the little dice with his ugly, fat, flabby hands. I was terrified about playing him. Before entering the reception area, I decided that I would not look at him. I would only look at the board. As soon as the crowd caught sight of me and they saw me, they bellowed, they yelled. The men were shouting and clapping as if I were an international superstar. Deep inside, I liked all the attention, but I was also aware that if I did not live up to the hype, I would soon be ridiculed. That if I didn't play as good as everyone wants me to, they will start shouting. Murat walked over to me and whispered into my ear, "They love you, little man." I looked up at him as if I did not care. "Are you okay?" he asked. I merely nodded. The man opposite stared coldly at me like a wild animal, but I stuck to my plan and I did not look at him again, except out of the corner of my eye. Page 140. As soon as Murat had confirmed I was ready, there was one more raucous round of shrill shouting and money exchanging hands. So there's a big group of people all giving each other money on who's going to win. Murat yelled out in Turkish. Everyone stopped talking, and the noise simmered down into silence. It was time for me to take the center stage. I picked up a die, like a dice that you throw, and threw it. My opponent cast a higher number, so he started the game. I did not know how much money was at stake, but by going by the commotion and the shouting, I gathered that it was a lot of money. During the first game, I was not relaxed, and it must have been obvious. I did not make a complete fool of myself, but I did make mistakes. My opponent took the first game from me, so the other big fat ugly guy, he won the first game. Remember, it's the first to win 3. I looked up at Murat, who did seem relaxed. He smiled at me and nodded to indicate and show me that everything would be fine. His reassurance gave me confidence. The second game was a hard-fought one, and I won by a small margin. The crowd exploded into cheers and shouting again. It was clear the odds were against me, which had seduced the bystanders to bet on me. So it's unlikely that Abbas, the boy, will win. Now they knew they had a chance. It suddenly occurred to me, if all of these people were betting on me, then who was betting against me so that Murat could win our money? I realized with a heavy sadness that it must be Murat himself who was betting against me. He must expect that I would lose. And with that, I no longer cared about winning or losing. Once again, Murat had kept me in the dark and lied to me. I looked up at my opponent, and he did not seem so scary and frightening anymore. I smiled at him, and then glared at Murat, who must have realized that I had figured out what Murat was doing. I wanted to teach Murat a lesson. I won the third game too, so he's winning 2-1. The fourth game was close, but my opponent took it. Now we were even, 2-2. Everything depended on the fifth and last game. The man was sweating heavily. Murat was looking edgy, and so was the crowd. It struck me that I could win, then play dumb, and get the money from Murat. My only mistake had been that I had not asked him how much money he was betting on me. Either way, though, win or lose, I was determined to make some money out of this. I was in a win-win situation, and I was beginning to enjoy myself. Once again, Murat had underestimated me, thought that I was too dumb. The final game was a cinch. I had luck with the die, and I played well. It was the quickest game, and when I won, the crowd went crazy. They screamed and clapped, and one by one they came up to me and kissed me and lifted me on their shoulders. Someone even tried to give me a beer. I looked at Murat out of the corner of my eye. He was sitting behind the reception desk, counting the money out of the safe. He was upset, but when his eyes met mine, he tried to hide it. I think he knew that I knew, but he wasn't going to say anything. So basically, Murat invited this guy that he thought would beat Abbas. So he gave money saying, I think the other guy will win. The other guy didn't win, so Abbas won, and now he's annoyed because he loses a lot of money. There was a tap on my shoulder. My massive, huge, ugly opponent was towering over me, and he smiled as we shook hands. Page 142. Then I turned to go, because I did not want to be near them when they started to exchange money. It made me uncomfortable. I walked to the lounge only to be greeted by a horde of Iranian guests, cheering heartedly, everyone shouting they're so happy with Abbas. I sat down blushing and not knowing where to look. One of the men yelled out, "Hey kid, what's your name?" "Abbas." "Mr. Abbas," he said, "that was some game." "Thank you," I responded quietly. "Ah," the man's wife said, "isn't he so cute?" "Leave the boy alone," her husband retorted. "Where did you learn to play like that?" "Here." They all laughed when I said that. A slightly shorter and stockier fat man asked, "So how long have you been playing then?" "A few days." They all burst out laughing again. "Really?" he asked. "Or is that what the guy told you to tell everyone?" "No," I said, "I swear." "I'm sorry," the stockier man said apologizing. "Either way, you played a great game. You flew the flag for Persia high." The first man's wife had been really wanting to talk, and asked quickly, "Is it true you are here alone, sweetness?" I didn't want to answer, but as everyone was looking at me, I nodded. "Ah, you poor baby," she said. "Are you doing okay?" "I'm fine, thank you," I said. "I'm sorry, but I have to go. It was a pleasure meeting you all." Like a rehearsed choir, they all replied at the same time, "You too, goodbye." As I left, I could hear the woman's husband scolding, getting angry at her. "You scared him," he said. "Couldn't you leave the poor boy alone?" "What did I do?" I heard her say. At reception, the last of the crowd was leaving. Murat came towards me. "Little man!" he exclaimed with his arms open. "What?" I said brusquely. I could not keep my feelings hidden. I was angry, and it showed. "You played a great game, little man." He tried to hug me, but I shrugged and pushed him off. "What is it, little man?" "I might be young, but I am not stupid, Murat." "What do you mean?" "Okay," I said. "How much money did we win?" "Well," he said, "that is a good question. Around 10,000 lira." "Yeah, right." "What do you mean?" he asked, looking offended. "I am not stupid, Murat," I shouted. "I am not doing this any longer." Page 144. "What?" "You heard me, Murat. You keep trying to cheat me." "No, I don't," he said, dropping his voice lower. "How was I trying to cheat you?" "You thought the fat guy was better than me, but you told your friends that I was good. Then you gave them good betting odds on me to win, thinking that I would lose. Then, if I lost, you would keep all of their money, and I wouldn't know the difference. You would walk away with all of it." But I did not let him talk. "What's more, if I had lost, I would have felt guilty and upset that I had let you down." I paused. The silence was thick and long between us. Little man, nothing," I said. "You lied again." I began to walk away, but he stopped me. "I'm sorry." "Yeah, again?" "I would have given you your cut of the money." "Sure you would have." "I swear." I just laughed at him. "You know what?" "What?" he asked. "How do you know that the fat guy was not working with one of the guys who bet on me and didn't throw the game?" "Oh, yeah," I said. "You didn't think of that, did you, when you didn't back me?" "No." "Well, you'll never know that, will you?" "I'm so sorry, little man. I have learned my lesson now." "Sure, whatever." "Really, please forgive me." "I forgive you, but I am not playing again." "What? You have to! I need to make my money back." Not my problem." "Listen, what can I do to make this up to you?" I looked at him, aghast, shocked. I was really surprised at his audacity. How could he ask me this? Then I realized that this was an opportunity for me. I could lay down my own terms, tell him what I want. "Well, how much money did you lose?" 150,000. "Okay, you have to give me 5% of that for start." "What?" he screamed in shock. "But I lost." "What's another 7,500 lira when you've lost 150,000 already?" I asked. "Besides, you don't have to pay in cash. You can take it off my bill." "Suppose I do that," he said, and then asked warily, "What else?" "Well, for a start, you always have to bet on me, and there will be no running of books on my games unless you tell me." "Okay, what else?" "You always tell me the amount I'm playing for before the game, and I want to see the money." Done. Page 146. "One more thing." "Oh, what now?" "I want a job." "You what?" He couldn't believe his ears. "I want to work in the hotel on the days that I have nothing to do." "Now, first of all," Murat said slowly, "I have no money to take anyone on, and if I did, he can't just choose his own days." "I can," I said. "I've thought about it." "Oh? And how does that work? I take it off your bill again?" "Well, that's an option, but I was thinking of something else." Murat stared at me open-mouthed and surprised. "I've just seen a lot of your Iranian guests," I started to explain, "and they all love me." "Even if you say so yourself." "Well, they do." "Okay, so what if they do?" I dropped my voice to a whisper. "Well, they feel kind of sorry for me. At least their wives do, always." "Get to the point." "Hold on," I said. "You see, I can be the tea boy. If I am the one selling the tea, they will all order more and give me tips, propinas, as well. You will make more money with better sales, and I will make extra money with my tips." Murat stared at me as if I had suddenly sprung 2 horns. Are you really only 9? Nearly 10. He shook his head incredulously. It sounds good, he said, but I am only agreeing on a temporary basis to see if it works. Fine. But if I want you to play backgammon, that will have to take priority. And I choose my own hours. Done. So you're taking 7,500 off my bill. Yes. I have it all written down, you know. Oh, he said with a chuckle. I would expect nothing less. I had to buy food before it got dark, so I headed to the corner shop. I was in a good mood. I had forgotten everything I wanted. I had gotten everything I had wanted from the backgammon situation. It was obvious that Murat needed me more than I needed him. This made negotiating with him easy. I was pretty proud of myself. I entered the shop, and this time the smell of the kuvurma was too tempting. I decided that I deserved some meat after 2 days of bread and yogurt. The shopkeeper recognized me immediately. Kavurma today, little man? Kavurma is like the meat, if you remember, like this, that they put into a sandwich. Yes, I responded, it's Friday. He smiled and grinned to himself as he took great care over his toasted masterpiece. He handed it to me in a bag along with the loaf of bread and 2 bottles of water and the pot of yogurt page 148, I had picked up. And in his broken Farsi, he said, Enjoy, little man. When I returned to the hotel, the sun was about to set. It was early yet, but I went to my room to relish and eat every crumb of my delicious kavurma. I was always hungry now. I tried to eat as slowly as possible to make it last longer. I wondered if my parents would call that night. My father had promised that he would, but I was not sure anymore. I thought of telling them about my new job, even though I felt my father had let me down. I really wanted and yearned for his respect. After my dinner, I ran down the stinky stairs and took my position in the lounge. It was beginning to fill up, with everyone returning after the day's business. I decided that it was a good time to start working. I went to reception only to find Murat feeling sorry for himself. Murat? No more conditions. You're killing me. No, I just wanted to know where to write down the guests' tea tabs. A tab is what they, write it on, like the bill, la cuenta. Oh, he said in a surprised tone. You're starting now? When better than the present? Very funny, little man, he said. You know what your problem is? No, what? You don't act your age. You don't behave like a 9-year-old. But I'm only 9. I know. That's my point. It's scary. You should try acting 9 rather than 109. I laughed. Okay, I said. But where do I write down the tabs, what they've ordered? I'll show you, he said with a sigh. He led me through the corridor and took me behind the bar. Okay, he said. You see this list? Yeah. Just write down what they order next to their room number. So, not just tea? It's evening now. Not everyone will want tea, he said. Okay, I said, a little unsure. If you're uncertain about anything, come and ask. Everyone in the lounge was looking at us. Murat noticed this, and like the fox that he was, he decided to announce my new position. Ladies and gentlemen, he declared, may I introduce our new barman and tea boy. He pointed to me, and they all began to clap. I glared at Murat, who said quickly, and may I also add that he only earns the propinas, the tips, that you may wish to give him. I kicked Murat on the shin when he said that, because it made me look desperate. But I was also happy that he had done it, because now I did not have to say it myself. Good luck, little man. Murat went back to his throne, to the reception, and I was left in charge of the bar. Page 150. There was a little pause before the lady from that afternoon waved me over. I went to her, and she patted and touched my head. You are so cute, she said. "I want to take you home with me." I smiled at her and hoped that she also wanted to order some drinks. Unfortunately, she did not, so I asked her, "Can I get you a drink, madame?" "Ah, he's so polite too," she told her husband. "Can't you just leave the boy alone? He's not a toy." "Yes, I want to order a drink." She had pleased me at last. She was a kind lady, but at this point I just wanted to make some money. "I want tea, and so does he." She pointed to her husband. "No, I don't," he snapped. "I want a beer." "Okay." I went to the kitchen, poured the tea, and got some sugar cubes and a teaspoon, which I placed on the saucer next to the small glass of tea. Then I went to the bar and opened the fridge. I saw quite a few different types of beer, so I chose one brand that I had seen people drink the most. I took the drinks over to the couple, but did not wait to be tipped, as I was too embarrassed. I waited to be called back by the lady, but it was the man who spoke. "Hey, kid." "Yes, sir." I walked back to him and he gave me 100 lira. It was not a huge amount of money, but I had not expected that much. As I walked back to the bar, I worked that if I served 20 drinks and got similar tips and money, it would pay for 1/3 for 30% of a night's stay. I had forgotten to ask for their room number, so I went back and approached the lady, since I was intimidated and scared of the man. "Excuse me, madame." "Yes, sweetness." "What is your room number so that I can put the drinks on your tab?" 37. "Thank you, madame." I saw her gesture to another couple, indicating that I was adorable. I was cute. Another man called out to me, "A beer for me too, please, kiddo. And don't worry about the glass. Room 12. I liked such people. He was trying to make my life as easy as possible. He had 150 lira waiting for me. Then the orders began to come thick and fast, until I was rushed off my feet. The guests in the lounge were competing with each other in typical Iranian fashion. Instead of keeping the tip at 100 lira, they were all trying to give more than each other, until I reached my largest tip of the night, 350 lira. This seemed ridiculous, crazy, but I wasn't complaining. Murat would be happy, as he was selling a lot of drinks too, and he made good money on those. "Abbas!" It was a while later when I heard Murat come in and shout, "You've got a phone call." Page 152. "Oh," I said, "can you take over for me until I get back?" "Sure." I put my tray down and ran towards the lobby. I had been so busy that I had completely forgotten about my parents. "Maman?" "Abbas." My father's deep voice echoed down the line. "It's me." "Is Maman there? Can I speak to her today?" "No, son," he said, "not today." "Why not?" I demanded. "Because I say so." That was that. There was a silence as I waited to hear what he had to say. "I'm sorry I did not call yesterday, Abs, but..." "It's okay." "Yes, listen, your mother is really worried about you, and I don't want her to become more anxious." "I'm fine. I'll tell her that, Baba, I promise." "I know, I just don't think that..." "Have I ever told you that it's horrible here? Have I not done everything that you told me to do?" "Yes, but it's not that simple, Abs." There was another pause. I did not know what to say to him, and he was not saying what I wanted to hear. "So, how are you, Abs?" "I'm okay," I said, trying to hold back my tears. "Things are going well. I wrote a few letters to Maman, and I watch a lot of television, and I don't leave the hotel unless I have to, just like you told me to." "Good lad." "So, do you know when I will get my papers?" "I sent them all together today by express mail, so they should be with you in 5 to 10 days. That is what the man at the post office said." "Okay," I said despondently. "So when will I be able to speak to Maman?" "Soon." "Fine, Baba. Go before your bill gets huge." "Yes," he said, and then fell silent for what seemed like hours. "You take care, son." "Bye, Bub." But he had hung up the phone. I sat on the chair on the stool and wiped my tears before looking round the corner to make sure no one saw me crying. Then I ran into the kitchen and I washed my face. Murat came in with a tray of empty glasses. "What did you do to these people? They are ordering drinks like there's no tomorrow." I smiled. I needed a bit of good news. "You've got the job for as long as you want it." "Thanks." "This is great business, little man. You're even more clever than I thought, more intelligent than I thought." Page 154. "I know. Modest, too." I chuckled. I laughed. "You better get out there before they start protesting." "Okay." I was halfway out the door when Murat called me back. "Little man?" "Yes?" "Some of the guests were keen that you got this," he said, handing me a wad of notes. It was the tips that I had not collected yet. My bundle was quite thick now, a lot of money. "Little man, good job." I was ready for bed. It was well past 3 in the morning. That night I was so tired that before I knew it, I was fast asleep. The end of chapter 9. So Murat organized a game for him to play against a really good guy and invited lots of people to spend money in the hotel to place a bet to say, "Oh, I think he's going to win, and here's 100 lira." And then he ended up winning. He was angry at Murat for not telling him. Then they struck a deal so that it's easier for Abbas to know what's going on. Abbas gets a job serving drinks. Everyone loves him. He speaks to his father, and his father makes him feel worse again. That's the end of chapter 9.